Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to League Racing TV here for round number 8 of the Esports Masters League Academy Tier Championship. And that is, of course, going to be around the fantastic Autodromo Jose Carlos Apache for the Brazilian Grand Prix. And I have the stream open in the background and it's doing my nothing, so I'm going to quickly turn it off. Alright, bit of a rookie mistake there, leaving the stream on in the background. Apologies there, guys. But yes, I am Michael Edwards, going to be taking you through the action here tonight for what should be a absolutely fantastic race around Brazil. Of course, it's such an iconic circuit. Obviously, 15 corners, 10 to the left and 5 to the right. 4.3 kilometers, 2.6 miles in length, 2 DRS zones, one down in towards the first corner down the start finish, straight in towards the center S's, of course, turn number 1. And of course, on the exit, turn 3 down in towards turn number 4 at the Cida del Lago. And yeah, going to be interesting. 3 compounds of tyres here tonight. Of course, the C4 soft tyres, C3 mediums, of course, C2 hard compound tyres, of course, the intermediates and the wet tyres also definitely a possibility here tonight that will come into play. But let's go ahead and let us look at the standings based on what happened last week. Because last week we did see that NLR with a double podium and of course IRT with a good result. Closing up a little bit in the standings. So let's have that looking over right there. ET8 obviously not maximizing the points haul last time out, but I mean, they still pull, I believe, further ahead due to the fact that WOR Academy unfortunately weren't able to get themselves up the order as best as they wanted. So, yeah, definitely going to be an interesting one there. So, ET8 Academy, 408 points. They are 136 points clear as we head into round number 8 and potentially. I will check the math on this, but I believe that they could wrap up the championship here tonight. I am just going to see, yeah, as Meg's put in the chat, obviously saying, can you run through the situations for ET8 to become champions? Yes, I will. And yeah, I do believe that, yeah, ET8, they have a possibility of becoming the champions here tonight at the end of this race. Of course, NLR Development currently in P2 on 272 points, and they are 12 points ahead of WOR Academy, who they jumped ahead of after last week's fantastic results. For them. IRT Academy are currently in P4 on 233 points, so not too far off the back. So the battle for second, definitely still a bit of a spice one. RCR Academy, unfortunately, because they joined late into the season, they were effectively going to need miracles to kind of close up the gap. But yeah, I mean, RCR Academy, they are in a lone P5. Obviously, GL Academy dropped out at the beginning of the season as well. So let us go and have a little look at the point system so we know what we need to keep an eye on. So obviously ET8, 136 point lead. Maximum amount of points that can be gained over a race weekend is of course 56 points. So of course times that by 2 is 112 points. So as long, and here we go guys, as long as ET8 do not lose 24 points to NLR Development, they become champions here tonight. So there we go. 24 points. NLR has to outscore ET8 Academy by to keep the championship alive. ET8 Academy can pick up the EML Academy tier and as Maze says needs to be 152, 153 lead. No, you see, Maze. Allow me to go ahead and quickly transfer it over to the calendar. Of course, there is only 2 races left after this one, and of course, with those 2 races left, it means that 112 points is what is needed as a gap. So obviously next week we go to Imola and then obviously Vegas for the season finale. Brazil here tonight, as long as ET8 do not drop 24 points to NLR Development. They become champions here tonight. Ah, there we go. Yes, you are correct, actually. I forgot to take into consideration there is a third driver. So hang on, let me do some more mathematics by you. Thank you, mate. There's a reason why I enjoy having you in the chat, because you call me up on this. Yeah, so I was in the math for 2 drivers, not 3. Oh, a little bit out of my depth for you tonight. But yeah, so 76 points. Yeah, so 152 points is what's needed here tonight, as Mace has put in the chat. So of course the ET8 need to outscore NLR Development by, I'm going to go with 12 points. Of course, due to the number of race wins that the ET8 have had this season, if they were to pick up another race win here tonight, obviously NLR Development will not be able to overturn the race win total. So yeah, 16 points would be enough. So there we go. ET8 needs to outscore NLR Development by 16 points here tonight. There we go. Migs, we got there in the end. We did get in the end. The championship permutations are all sorted. We have got there in the end. Now let's have a look at the drivers that are going to be racing here tonight. Of course, it is going to be for IRT Academy. It is going to be Bashi and Folly. And of course, Pangrino there in the Williams car. Obviously, Bashi and Folly are going to be in the Red Bull racing cars, and of course Pangrino in the Williams. ET8 are coming here tonight with Christy and Dertemo in the Mercedes, and of course Daniel in the other Williams car. So good lineup for ET8 here tonight. NLR Development coming through with Mackie in the McLaren, Clichy in the Aston Martin, and of course Mustache in the second Aston Martin. So that will definitely be another interesting team dynamic as well. RCR coming through with Capitan and Lab in the Scuderia Ferraris, and of course Shadow in the Lone Alpha Tauri here tonight, and of course WOR Academy coming through with Oshin and Fraser in the Alfa Romeos, and Alfie in the Haas F1 car. Looks like everyone is beginning to load into qualifying right now. In terms of last minute changes, of course, Tatemo has been replaced by Chris here for ET8 Academy. So that is the only change from the lineup that we see right here in front of us. And of course, and Chris, definitely a very, very quick driver, and we will be looking forward to seeing what he can do in that Mercedes. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's jump over to the action out on track, shall we? And I believe we should. So let's go ahead and let's jump over to the action out on track. We have just gone into qualifying. We know the championship permutations. ET8 need to outscore NLR Development by 16 points to be declared Academy tier champions here tonight. Obviously 4 race wins for ET8, 2 for NLR Development. So if neither team wins here tonight, I mean, there's still a slight possibility for NLR, but in terms of, I mean, the likelihood, I mean, you know, we're talking 11 podiums to 5 in favor of ET8 right now. So they have 6 extra podiums, of course 2 extra wins. So even if NLR do tie the win counter, I believe with the podium counter, that's going to be a bit of more of a Herculean task to kind of overturn as well. So NLR Development need to outscore ET8 outright here tonight. First car out on track looks to be Bashi, as Pangrino has left the session. Fortunately, hopefully he can get back within the session ASAP. 15 drivers here tonight, which is of course fantastic to see, and we're looking for a lot of action up and down the field. The IRT Academy driver of Bashi G is going to be the first man to set us on a lap here of the Sao Paulo circuit here, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Apache in Sao Paulo, Brazil, formerly known as Interlagos for the old school of France, as we come through Jun Chao turn number 12, where we could be seeing a lot of back ends being stepped out there on exit. But let's go on board with Bashi for a flying lap here of the Brazilian Grand Prix, as DRS is wide open across the line as we head in towards turn number 1 to begin the Senna S's. And of course, fourth gear, the gear of choice there for Bashi, taking a lot of that inside curve as we come through turn number 3 at the Curva del Sol. Onto the second straight of the DRS, wide open as we head down in towards turn number 4, Descida del Lago, breaking that around the 100 meter board and going down into fourth gear there for Bashi. Now climbing up the hill towards Ferradrula, turn number 6, and now Curva de Lorangina through number 7, breaking down now in towards turn number 8, and we go through turn number 9. Third gear, the gear choice here for Bashi as we head into turn number 10. Scenes of where, I mean, in real life we saw Hamilton and Albon there come together at that particular corner as we head now in towards Jun Chao, turn number 12. Climbing up the hill now, Red Bull in front of him, definitely going to be able to give him a little bit of a tow as we head to the start finish line. DRS wide open for Bashi as he gets a tow from his teammate in front. Bashi to the line, and it's going to be a 1 minute 7.8 to set us off here in qualifying. A good opening lap there from the IRT Academy driver. As Capitan goes there, P2 of course on half a second off the back as Lab there with a 0.8 as well. Shadow is at the beginning of his lap, so we're going to try and go on board with a driver who's coming towards the end of their lap and who is actually on a valid lap. I mean, trying to look through, I believe we have a Williams of Daniel, but ET8 coming to the line, taking the tightest line possible, the shortest run to the line, and he goes P3 with a 7.9. So ET8 looking to get lap times on the board nice and early, but Chris has already invalidated on his run, and so has Christy. So yeah, both ET8 drivers under the caution a little bit. Fraser to the line, and I believe he backed off after making a mistake on the first lap, so he's going to go for a second lap here. He has the ERS to go for it as we go through turn 3, Curva del Sol, and he keeps it very tight onto the curb in there as we come through Curva del Sol. DRS wide open as we head down into Descida del Lago. Fifth gear there for Fraser, trying to get the car rotated through as we climb up the hill now towards Ferradrula, turn number 6. And now into Lorangina, turn number 7, and of course now breaking down in towards turn number 8. Very easy to get this corner wrong at turn number 8 and maybe run a little bit too deep, maybe take a little bit too much inside curb, and that could be disastrous for you if you're a little bit too much on the limits of the track, or maybe take a little bit too much and get a little bit too complacent on the curves. But Fraser now, 51.1 middle sector split as we climb up the hill now towards the start finish line. DRS wide open. Will Fraser complete this lap? He will complete this lap. Gilchi there for NLR goes on to provisional pole with a 0.7, and Fraser joins Lab and Bashi on a 107.8. Chris on a lap now for ET8, and this is looking similar to the likes of Fraser here, and we're going to see if Chris can get his Mercedes up onto the front row here as he comes towards the line. The ET8 Academy driver comes through, and it's going to be a 1.8 flat there for Chris. He does go in behind his teammate as now we got Christy now to the line, and he's going to have DRS wide open. What can the ET8 Academy drivers do here as he comes to the line, goes up into P6. So right now ET8 have P5, P6 and P7. Line astern there, the ET8 Academy team. Kilchi up there in P1, and yeah, I mean fantastic lap from him so far. Of course his teammate of Mustache unable to get a lap on the board so far, and Maki did get a lap in, and it's a 108.2. Pangrino obviously did lag out of the session. Hopefully he is able to get himself back in to the session. So let me know in the chat, Pangrino, if you are able to get back in the session, because we definitely need to see what is going to happen with a full 15-man lobby in here tonight. So who is going to be the next man to start a lap? It is going to be Daniel from the looks of it. So we'll stay on board with Daniel, the ET8 Academy driver, currently leading the ET8 team in the qualifying times here tonight. Less than a 10th separating the three ET8 Academy drivers. Mason in the chat saying if ET8 don't win the race, they need a gap of 13, I think. No, they need a gap of 16 to begin with. Obviously, in terms of race wins, I mean, right now it's 4-2 in favour of ET8 in the standings, which it can be overturned by NLR if they win here tonight and then take another 2 wins in the remaining races of the season. But if they do not, I believe then it will come down to amount of podium positions, perhaps. You'll have to correct me on that. I believe podiums is where we go to next, or maybe pole positions, which I think ET8 as a collective have more anyway. You'll have to let me know with that one, mate. I believe it goes to podiums or pole positions after that. It's one or the other. Capitan coming through the Cedar del Lago now as we climb up the hill towards Ferrajula. Rolling the car in through Ferrajula and of course through Varangina, now in towards turn number 8. Now through turn number 9. And all about traction here as we climb back up the hill towards turn number 10. Where of course we have seen many lunges down the inside in towards turn number 10 in the past. But here comes Capitan. He is marginally up in the middle sector and he will get a little bit of a tow from the Red Bull in front. So Capitan is going to get the benefit of a little bit of a slipstream here as he comes to the line. The RCR driver goes up in the P10. It is a 2/10th improvement, so he does jump ahead of Maki, who is on a lap right now, but unfortunately for him, he has invalidated on that lap. Oshin just beginning a lap for WR. Foley is just starting a lap, I believe, as well for IRT. Daniel, obviously invalidated on his previous run, looking to do better this time around as he comes through the Curve of the Soul. I think we just had a lap time coming there from Pangrino going up into P9 there. So the IRT Academy driver has managed to get himself back in the session and of course get himself a lap time on the board. Just over 8 minutes to go in the session. Is currently NLR Kilcree currently up in P1. And I know I'm going to pronounce his name very differently every single time I try to pronounce it, let me tell you. Because I do struggle with names like this. Where it can be pronounced several different ways. But it is Kilcree currently on pole position as Bashi there for IRT finds the time and he gets provisional pole with a 107.5. Bashi G on provisional pole right now as we're on board with Daniel. Daniel to the line for ET8. Oshin goes up into P6. Daniel up into P3. Lab on a lap as well. In fact, he did find a little bit more time. He's on a 0.7 now. Did find a bit more time, but yeah, I mean, he loses out there because Bashi and Daniel do find a little bit more time. Also, you got Fraser who is on a cooldown lap. Chris now on a flying lap coming through the middle sector. Turn number 9, climbing up the hill towards turn number 10. ET8 Chris looking very smooth and calm and collected right now. As we come through the middle sector split, let's see what the ET8 driver is doing. And he's nearly 2/10 up coming through Dun Chow now. All about the traction, all about the exit here as we climb up the hill towards the DRS detection point. And now DRS wide open, keeping it very tight to the inside to minimise the distance to the start finish line. And of course, he'll cross the line, goes up in the P4. ET8 Chris with a 107.7. And Mustache also getting in a 107.7. Daniel with a 107.777. So all the 7s are out to play here today in Brazil. One driver yet to put a lap time on the board is WR Alfie there down in P15. One driver who hasn't got a lap time on the board. Every other driver has. As Christie comes through, what I believe will be another flying lap attempt from the ET8 driver. Of course, going to need a lot of time to find on this lap, because of course he definitely is quicker than a 0.9, so we'll see. But he does not look comfortable whatsoever with the setup and with these curves, and that is going to cost him. And potentially a little bit of a psychological advantage for NLR here. Maybe with Christie not really feeling comfortable. We'll have to wait and see. 5 minutes to go in the session as drivers now be beginning to get themselves in the right mind space to go ahead and get a fresh lap underway. And of course we'll be looking to they will be looking to improve to get closer. Bashi's lap time of a 107.5. Will anyone be able to do it though? That is going to be the big question. Maki has gone out and he'll be the first man out on track. And of course, this is a big lap for Maki for the NLR development team, currently down in P13. And definitely will want to get himself up there towards his teammates up there in the top 5. And we're going to have to see if he can do that. As Kilcree comes through in behind. In fact, he's actually just going to back out. And no, he's actually going to overtake his teammate. So, Kilcree, the man currently on the front row with Bashi there, coming on 107.6, will be the first man to get his lap time underway. So we'll go on board with Kilcree for his final run. Here we go right now with Kilcree as he tries to get his final lap underway here at the end of qualifying. He has left a bit of time, so if he does make a mistake, he can go again. 3 minutes to go in the session as we come through the center assets. Turns 1 and 2 as we come through turn 3. Give it the soul, and yep, there we go. Kilcree has to back out, makes that mistake. And now we'll go on board with Maki, who will be the next man to get his lap underway. Maki currently down in P13 for NLR development. Needs to find the time here as we come through the center SS now through Curve of the Soul. Turn number 3, DRS wide open as we run down into the Cida del Lago and the first sector split. What is Maki doing? He's over a 10th up in the first sector. Very, very well improvement there from Maki as he comes up the hill towards Ferrojula. And throws the car in through Lorenzina now, and now in towards turn number 8, breaking down third gear, taking a bit of that inside curve. Runs a little bit deep on the exit, but can get away with it as long as he gets good traction here out of turn 9, which he does. Now in towards turn number 10, no lock up there for Maki, which is fantastic. Now through turn number 11, and now in towards turn number 12, Jun Chao, and he's over half a second up on his lap time as he comes through. Getting decent traction on the exit there of Jun Chao, climbing up the hill. Maki now with DRS going to come to the line. This is going to be a big improvement from the NLR development driver as he comes to the line. It's going to be a 107.7, half a second improvement for Maki, exactly what he needs. And he gets himself ahead of Daniel out there on track. As we have Lab marginally down in the middle sector, which is not good. So remember, on his previous lap, he did have a bit of DRS slipstream there to the line, but unfortunately this time around he's not going to have that. As Lab to the line, he is just going to lose out down this straight, and yep, there we go. It was a small improvement though, so he did get a good traction on the exit of Jun Chao, but wasn't what he wanted. He was losing time all the way to the start finish straight. As Mustache is on a cooldown lap after invalidating We'd have to see who is on a flying lap. Chris G is just starting his lap. Folly on a installation lap. Capitan on a flying lap as well, but he's behind Chris G, so we have to go on board with Chris G first. Shadow on a flyer. So is Alfie. And Kilcree goes on to provisional pole. We just jump onto it at the end of his lap, and he goes up into P1, a 107.547 there. As Bashi is on an outlap, Fraser on an outlap as well. We're going to go on board with Krishi, and Krishi is also invalidated. This is absolutely disastrous for 88-year Krishi, unable to get himself onto the board with a valid lap so far. Obviously, just the one that he did at the start of the session. He's invalidated every single lap since then. Maki into the pits, retires from the session. And now we should be beginning to see the checkered flag beginning to fall in the next 30 seconds. Alfie to the line. The Haas coming up now for WOR, and it's going to be Alfie going up to P9 with a 107.8. So getting our lap down on the board when it mattered, and needs to get out of the way ASAP, because there comes a Mercedes, an Alfa Romeo, and an Alfa Tauri coming through to begin the lap right now. Of course, Christie, he's gone so far wide. And that is his lap over and done with, that is for sure. Oshin on a flying lap, but we're going to go on board with the Williams of Daniel. Of course, unable to get a lap time on the board, and invalidated lap in the end. Mustache also invalidated. In the end, we got Oshin, the next man across the line. What can Oshin do for WR? Remember, they still have a stake to claim something in this race. And Oshin's going to back out into the pit lane. So next up is Kilcree, obviously in the pit lane. Bashi now. Bashi, and he's looking to try and get his teammate up the order. So Bashi trying to give the toe to Folly here. And Folly fading out into the pit lane. So contact into the pits, and that could be a little bit of a good penalty there, as Capitan's into the pits as well. Shadow, of course, not going to be improving. Fraser into the pits also. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of qualifying here in Brazil. Kilcree at the end does take pole position, finds that half a tenth that he needs, and gets himself in the best position possible, and from what it looks like, advantage in a lot of development in this race. Of course, Kilcree on pole position, and of course we've got Mustache and Maki in P6 and P7 respectfully. ET8 obviously with Chris in P5, Daniel in P8, and Christie unable to get a second valid lap on the board. Remember, he did that lap at the start of the session, definitely could have found more time with it, but unfortunately for him it just wasn't meant to be, and you saw the back end stepping out plenty of times there for Christie. So ladies and gentlemen, let's run you through the order one more time. It is NLR Development driver on pole position. It is Kilcree with a 107.5, less than 4 hundredths of a second ahead of Bashi G for IRT Academy, who joins him on the front row. WR Academy, Fraser currently in P3 with RCR Academy's Lab in P4. 88 Chris in P5, so all 5 teams represented in the top 5. You'd love to see it. Mustache and NLR Development in P6 with Maki in P7, Daniel in P8 with WR Alfie in P9, Oshin for WR rounding out the top 10 with Christie in 11 for ET8, IRT Academy drivers Pangrino and Folly in 12th and 13th. Then of course we got the RCR Academy pairings of Capitan and B Shadow in 14th and 15th, rounding out the final spots on the grid. And ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, of course, that the championship can be won here tonight by ET8, and of course we will show you the standings one more time just so you guys can see. So let's go ahead and do that. So there we go. The gap is 136 points here tonight, and of course the gap needs to be 152 points or 153 points by the end of tonight. So of course we're looking at 16 points if NLR Development do not take a victory here tonight. 16 points if they do not take victory, or 17 points if they do take victory. So The championship could be wrapped up here tonight by ETA Academy, and our development can keep it alive, as can WOR Academy and obviously IRT Academy as well. They can keep it alive respectfully, but it's going to be a Herculean task for IRT Academy or WOR Academy to really get the points overhaul. But they can definitely play a little bit of a spoiler in this race to kind of prolong ETA Academy in the championship. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is the standings. ETA Academy leads the way, 136 points clear. They need a gap of 153 points to completely take NLR Development out of the equation. 152 points as if NLR Development do not take a victory here tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we are looking at here. Of course, WOR and IRT Academy are definitely going to be looking to get themselves going in the right direction. But let's go ahead and go back to the race here as we have 5 red lights and underway in Brazil. Kilkey gets a fantastic start, and there we go, going in towards turn number 1. Hold on to the race leaders. We get the tyre selections and everything up as Mustache gets through ahead of Chris. Up in the P5 Ghost, the NLR Development driver. As look at this 2x2 like Noah's Ark in behind. As we got Alfie and Mackie side by side. And I believe Oshin and Christy side by side as well going through the Cida de Lago. Christy getting a little bit out of shape there. Look at that. Oshin looking to get the run on Mackie as we come up the hill towards Ferradura on lap number 1. Fantastic stuff early on from these guys as they follow each other through in towards turn number 8. Contact there between Christy and Mackie, and that is going to allow Pangrino to go down the inside of Christy here and around the outside at turn number 9. The IRT Academy driver looking to get some moves done. Remember the hard tyres on Christy's car, mediums on Pangrino's car, so Pangrino will have the superior grip right now, but they're still side by side heading in towards John Chow. Here, turn number 12 on lap number 1. A little bit of a squeeze out there from Christy, and that does drop Pangrino all the way down to the back of the field. But the amount of time that Christy lost there in that battle, the side-by-side action was apparent there as Bashi down the inside of Kilkey gets that move done, but in fact he doesn't. He runs too deep, and Kilkey around the outside at turn number 2, and now in turn number 3, Kira the Soul. We got Fraser looking to get the move done as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it is starting very spicy here in this race. Kilkey on the hard tyres, Bashi and Fraser on the medium tyres. Looking to get through, looking to try and pull away from the NLR Development driver. But unfortunately, as he currently stands, unable to do so. Meanwhile, Mustache has made good progress. He's currently up into P4 after starting P6 in this race. Managed to overtake both Lab and Chris early on. Daniel has dropped around about a second off the back of his teammate, which is not good for him because he needs to get back within 1 second to make sure that he does have DRS, because once you lose DRS around a track like this, it's going to be absolute pain for him in this race. Through Jun Chow we go, climbing up the hill once again to begin lap number 3 as here comes Bashi, and Bashi with the slipstream is just going to be able to go ahead and cruise through. But will we see Kilkey fight this now into turn 1? In fact, we won't, because Fraser's going to send one down the inside in towards turn number 1 on Kilkey and get himself up into P2. As Fraser and Bashi potentially about to do battle, as well as I don't think Daniel did get the DRS there on Chris. So yeah, I mean, Daniel has a lot of work to do now. He has to get back within that 1 second window. He cannot afford to be out of it, not at this stage in the race, because this stage is so early on, and if you fall away, you're gone. Like, you are completely gone. And right now there's 2 NLR Development drivers in that front 6 train and only 1 ET8 driver, so definitely they absolutely have to make sure that they stay in this train. It looks like Daniel has managed to get himself back within it, so good going there from Daniel as we look to begin lap number 4 here momentarily. DRS will be wide open for Fraser, and will Fraser be able to get himself into the race lead as we head down in towards turn number 1 as Christy and Mackie there. That could be big as well, battling out for P10 here. ET8 and NLR Development, and there he is on the inside curve. Mackie losing it on the inside curve at turn number 1. We just managed to go on board with that as Fraser gets through on Bashi for the race lead on the run down in towards the Cedar de Lago. Up into the race lead goes WR Fraser as Daniel and Chris trade positions there as Chris has left the session. Oh, heartbreak for ET8. Heartbreak for ET8 here. Chris has disconnected from the session. He'll fall down the order now. The ET8 driver falling away, and now, I mean, Daniel, he's outside of the DRS range, and now, I mean, he has to use to get himself back within 1 second. This is big for Daniel, and you can see he's absolutely on the ragged edge, and he's just fallen outside of it. That one mistake has cost Daniel massively here, as DRS will be open for Bashi to retake the race lead in towards turn number 1 here on lap number 5. Daniel, though, outside that 1 second window, and that is heartbreak for ET8. Chris out of this session, disconnected. Now Christy trying to come through with DRS on Alfie up into P7 goes the second ET8 driver, which is big for him. Daniel absolutely pushing with everything he's got to try and get back within that 1 second window. He needs a middle sector from the heavens right here as he comes through turn number 8 now in towards turn number 9. Needs good traction, needs a good exit here as he go in towards turn number 10. Needs these guys to get a little bit bunched up behind each other, slow each other down, and on the exit of turn number 10 he's just within that 1 second window, but if he gets a bad exit out of Junshao like he did on the previous lap, he could fall once again back out of it. And just like that, Daniel has done enough to get himself back within 1 second here. He's back within the DRS train, and more positivity here for ET8. Chris is back in the session, so now Chris will be able to take control of his car. I believe that was just him then taking control of the car as we run down in towards turn number 1. He will be rejoined in P10 or P11 depending on when the AI decides to allow Chris to take control of the car, as we should hope that he does retake it here. In fact, Capitan gets through ahead of him as well, and I believe Folly will try and get through also as we go through into the Cedar de Lago. And yeah, ET8 Chris going to fall down the order, but right now it's about timing when to come back into this race, and I believe yes, here he is, he's back in this race now in P13 ahead of Maki, which is important for ET8, and he does have a fair few cars in front of him, which Chris could get himself to the front of this train of, and maybe can try and get himself up there with the likes of Christy later in the race. But right now all hopes for ET8 lie with this man, Daniel, in the Williams, using battery to stay within DRS, on which he has done so successfully. Bashi and Fraser literally passing the race lead back and forth, but it looks like Bashi is now happy to just allow Fraser to keep a hold of that race lead for the time being. Lap number 7 of 36 is WR Fraser currently leading the way. IRT driver Bashi in P2. And of course we have the NOR development pairing of Gilcree and Mustache in P3 and P4. RCR Academy's Lab in P5 with ETA Academy drivers Daniel and Christy in P6 and P7. WR's Alfie in P8. IRT's Pangrino in P9. And RCR Academy's Capitan rounding up the top 10. And then of course we have the IRT Academy driver of Folly under pressure right now from the ETA Academy driver of Chris in P11 and P12. RCR Academy Shadow currently right in behind it as well, as the battle for the last spot inside the top 10 begin to heat up between these 4 drivers. Remember Chris, unfortunately for him, had that disconnection, so yeah, I mean Chris right now is in recovery mode as Alfie is out of the race. He's lost it on the exit of Dunchow. Is that going to be a safety car in this race? Lap number 7, and no, it doesn't look like it. So we have managed to get away with it. No safety car here for WR Alfie, but that right there just makes things even harder for WR in terms of the championship, as Bashi now overtakes Fraser for the race lead. IRT Academy now in the race lead. And of course, this is where, if you're WOR, you are looking at the standings right now, because obviously Bashi, Foley, and obviously Pangrino, the IRT drivers, all three still going in this race. Oshin is behind all three of the IRT drivers, and of course Fraser is being outscored right now by Bashi. So I mean, WOR are under threat of losing third in the championship right now. To my math, they are under threat. As Kilcree looks down the inside of Fraser in towards Casita de Lago, too tight of a line there, but the respect was given, and here comes Kilcree using a bit on the exit of Casita de Lago as we go into Ferrajula side by side now through turn number 8, and of course Kilcree does get that job done there. Fraser backing out of it as we are on lap 9 of 36. Bashi leads away. Kilcree in second place, Fraser in third, Mustache currently in fourth, Lab in fifth, with Daniel in sixth. Chris has now got himself to the front of that train, so he's going to try and pull away now and try to maximise the points for ET8 here tonight. Of course, that disconnection there, absolutely heartbreaking, because at one point he was in the top 6 train, and now he is, I want to say, about 10 seconds off the back of it now. Lap number 10, Kilcree closing in on Bashi. Not going to be close enough into the Cida de Lago to go for an overtaking manoeuvre, but will be close enough to stay close to him in the middle sector to maybe get the overtake done on the start finish straight on the following lap. He currently has Fraser in behind him, 9 lap old medium tyres in behind and in front of Kilcree here for NLR development. Mustache currently in P4, waiting for an opportunity to try and get into the play as well for the podium positions. Daniel trying to save up that ERS that he had to use to get back within DRS range on the top 5. He's trying to save up that battery, and he's doing a very good job. Obviously, Lab at the moment sitting on 85, almost 90% battery, and you can see a little bit of a snap there on the exit of Junchao for Lab as we climb up the hill, using a bit now to regain the lost time on the exit of Junchao, and of course we'll close up that gap. Kilcree not going to look for a move in towards turn number 1, going to wait for the Cida de Lago before attempting an overtaking manoeuvre, as Bashi gets a little bit of a snap there through the curve of the soul, and that is going to allow Kilcree to just breeze on through into the race lead for NLR development. Ladies and gentlemen, as things are looking right now, NLR development will keep the championship alive for another week. And of course they will close down the gap even more in the standings as well. Of course, with Kilcree currently up there in P1, Mustache currently in P4, and of course we've got Daniel Christie in 6th and 7th, and of course we've got Chris in 9th, and of course Maki in P13 after the turn 1 moment for him on the inside curve. A bit of a no man's land for him. He's battling with Oshin there at the back. He's going to be hoping that a safety car comes out to save his race, or maybe a well-timed VSC when he makes his pit stop. As Shadow picks up the first 3-second time penalty of the evening here on lap number 12. Shadow there for RCR going to be picking up a time penalty, and that does help Maki a little bit, because Maki is within 3 seconds and he is trying to pull away from Oshin there at the back of the pack. But we're on board with the front runners. Kilcree currently leading the way on those hard tyres. Bashi and Fraser on a set of mediums. They will be considering their pit stop strategies anytime now, as Oshin has lost it. And that is a virtual safety car here on lap number 12. Virtual safety car there. Oshin losing it through the center S's. And of course that has triggered a VSC here on lap number 12. Will we see any drive-through penalties happen for any of these guys? Time will tell. But if I'm Bashi and Fraser, I'm hoping this VSC possibly stays out long enough that I could come into the pits upon a fresh set of boots. Let's see as we approach the pit lane. DRS has been enabled again, so unfortunately the virtual safety car does not stay out long enough. Kilcree there tries to do a little bit of a dummy to leave Bashi into the pits, but Bashi not falling for it. He's going to overtake with DRS. Back into the race lead goes Bashi as he gets through on Kilcree for the race lead. Mustache was getting close to the back of Fraser for the final podium position as Folly and Capitan scrapping out for P10. Folly getting through on the RCR Academy driver. Up in the P10 goes the IRT Academy driver now as Chris has broken away from the guys in behind as he begins to charge down Pangrino for P8, and once he does that he will be in a position where he could get close enough to the back of his teammate of Kushi in this race as we continue on. Daniel though has had a horror restart to the virtual safety car. He's 2 seconds off the back of him now. Daniel has had a big moment somewhere. And the back end stepping out as he's Tokyo drifting through turn number 10. Daniel absolutely falling away here. The grip has completely gone off his hard tyres as we come through John Chow. A little bit of a snap again on the exit. Daniel for ETA is a little bit all over the place right now. And now he's 2.5 seconds off the back of RCR Lab as Kilcree is looking to try and get a move done on Bashi here. As we go through turn 1 and turn 2 now through the curve of the soul. Turn number 3, DRS will be on line down in towards the Cedar del Lago. As here comes Kilcree down the inside. Job done for the NLR development driver. Fraser getting close to the back as well. So is Mustache. But Daniel now completely fallen away from the DRS train of the top 6. And he's not close enough now where you think he can maybe get himself back within it. He needs these guys to battle. He needs them to scrap it out here for positions to get himself back within the DRS range. And of course, it's not looking good if you're an ETA Academy fan here tonight. It's looking a little bit ropey for ETA. Maybe the pressure of the championship being on the line here tonight. Starting to get a couple of ETA drivers, I don't know, but right now NLR development doing exactly what they need to do. They got 2 drivers in the top 4. Bashi not wanting to go for an overtake on Kilcree, lap 15 of 36. Kilcree for NLR development leads the way ahead of Bashi for IRT Academy in P2. Fraser for WOR Academy in P3. Mustache for NLR development in P4. As we run down into the Cedar del Lago, no position changes there in the top 4. RCR Academy Lab currently in P5. Daniel for ETA Academy going off track in P6, losing more time. I'm wondering, does he have wing damage perhaps? Visually, I can't visually see any wing damage, but you never know, it could be a little bit of damage on that end plate, maybe too light for us to see. But Daniel currently in P6, 2.7 off the back, 2.5 off the back of Lab now. As Christy currently 4.4 off the back of Daniel, and then of course Pangrino just outside that 1 second window. Chris obviously 3 seconds off the back of Pangrino now, but obviously we'll have mediums for the second stint, where it's going to be incredibly interesting in terms of this race. As up ahead, Bashi is going to get through on Kilcree for the race lead, as it looked like Lab was potentially sizing up a move on Mustache, but decides to not go for it. Stays in behind the NLR development driver. So again, positions not changing from P3, P4 and P5 as Kilcree closes up to the back of Bashi, but Bashi not under any threat there. Kilcree not looking to get that overtake down into the Cedar del Lago this time round. Lap 16 of 36. And if I'm Daniel, I kind of want Bashi to be the race leader right now, because those tyres are going to begin to fall away. And look, you're seeing Daniel closing up now. Daniel has the better tyres versus Bashi and Fraser. So ideally, the longer Bashi stays in the race lead, the better it is for Daniel. He can close up, which is of course what he needs to do. Kilcree currently down in P2, but he's going to use a bit of battery. He is going to close up on the run down in towards the centre S's, turn number 1 and 2, the first braking zone of the circuit. But is he going to be close enough to go for a move? Is he going to want to go for a move? No, he's going to sit in behind the IRT Academy driver through the centre S's, now through Cover the Soul, turn number 3. DRS wide open once again as we head down in towards the Cedar de Lago, and now Kilcree potentially going to be close enough. No, he decides to back out of it. As Lab also getting close to the back of Moustache as well. Everyone in the top 5 beginning to bunch up. No one really wanting to go for any risky overtakes at this stage in the race. Daniel 2.7 off the back, 2.6 now, 2.5. As obviously Bashi being in the race lead will help Daniel out massively, but not if he makes mistakes, as he lost 2 tenths there, and he has managed to gain that back, but Daniel needs to be gaining time on these guys, and I don't think he has gained enough time here in this lap. Lap 17 of 36, about to begin lap number 18. Will we see the medium runners into the pits? No, they are going to stick it out for another lap, and here comes Kilcree. And in fact, Moustache is into the pit, so Moustache taking an early lunge into the pit, so is Daniel. So Daniel reacting to Moustache in this race. Of course, they are going to come out, I want to say, a bit of clean air, because Moustache should be behind the likes of Shadow, but yeah, he might just come out ahead of Shadow, but be immediately right behind Maki, obviously his NLR teammate, so that'll definitely help him out a little bit. But at the back, I mean, Moustache now, obviously he needs his teammate to get out of the way, and there we go, Maki does move. Maki gets out of the way of Moustache immediately. Lap 18 of 36, halfway through this race, half race distance now, as Kilcree does lead the pack, and we should be seeing more pit stops begin to happen. Folly is of course coming to the pits, as has Oshin. Daniel also in the pits, currently in behind Shadow here for P11, as he takes a much tighter line. Oh, contact there between the pair of them on the exit. Daniel just has so much more grip compared to Shadow, but that little bit of contact there, the camber of the corner pulling them together, not what Daniel would have wanted. And now with DRS, Daniel will overtake before DRS, but I mean, that has definitely cost him a decent amount in terms of lap time, in terms of trying to get himself up back into the fight for the podium. And coming through the centre S's now, you see Lab coming out of the pit lane just ahead. So Lab does come out ahead of Daniel. The gap is 1.4. Of course, with that little bit of contact, Daniel might have been able to get himself ahead of Lab. But right now, Kilcree and Moustache commanding position for the pair of them right now, because they have the undercut on the likes of Fraser and Bashi in this race. So they should be in a net 1-2 right now. The NLR development pairing in a fantastic position indeed. But Kilcree does have a time penalty to his name. 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. Capitan with 3 seconds. Oshin with 3 seconds. Shadow with 3 seconds as well. Purple middle sector there for Moustache, as the top two, Pangrino and Bashi into the pits. The 2 IRT Academy drivers coming in. Chris stays out, as does Fraser, so they are going long. And now Daniel, he's going to be on the back of Bashi, potentially will be able to get ahead here as we run down in towards the Cedar de Lago, and yeah, Bashi's going to yield that position for right now. But with that red light flashing on the back of that Williams, Daniel is going to be under some serious pressure if both Lab and Bashi decide to drain their battery. Lab 3 seconds off the back of Kilcree and Mustache. And of course, Mackie has come into the pits now, so he's no longer a bit of a roadblock, but I think Mackie has done the team game very well there. Fraser into the pits, lap 20. Will Chris follow suit as well? As Fraser should come out, I'm going to say behind Bashi, potentially. Going to be around 2 seconds behind Bashi, maybe around 3 seconds ahead of Chrissy, but there's a set of soft tyres on the WR driver's car here as Daniel sets a new fastest lap of the race as he looks to get himself back in a podium contention here. Fraser has come out right behind Bashi here. So both Bashi and Fraser started on the medium tyres. Bashi went for a set of hards to comfortably get to the end of this race. Fraser's gone for a set of soft tyres, which could potentially fall completely off the cliff after around 9 laps. So of course we'll have to wait and see how that goes for Fraser. Chris Shee currently in P8, doing a decent job so far. Chris is staying out there on his hard tyres, potentially trying to wait for a safety car to potentially be in effect, but he does have Kilcree alongside him. Kilcree on better tyres with DRS, and it looks like Chris is actually going to fight him here. So Chris, I think, is doing the team game for ET8 here as Kilcree down the inside. Chris will try and hang it around the outside. Oh no, that's a 3 second time penalty for Chris, and that is not what he wants. But right now, with DRS, he could maybe get himself back ahead of Kilcree around the outside of the Cedar de Lago as the NLR driver tries to squeeze him out so Mustache can get a good run. And that is good teamwork there from NLR Development. The side by side coming up into Ferrajula. Chris on the inside should have the run, but the second part of the corner will go the way of Mustache. Through turn number 8 they go clean around the outside. Goes the NLR Development driver. Mustache into P2. And now Chris, he's done a very good job obviously in terms of holding up Kilcree and Mustache enough, because Lab is just outside of, he's around 2 seconds off the back of Mustache. Daniel's right on the back of him as well. There we go, Chris into the pits. He's done his job. He's tried to hold up these guys as best as possible. Fraser on the soft tyres. Smart driving there from Daniel. Moves out of the way. He knows he doesn't have the grip to compete with Fraser right now, but Fraser does have the grip to potentially get himself onto the back of the top two. So now Fraser going to get through on Lab, up in towards P3 now, goes to WR driver, and now we're going to see soft tyres. How good are the red wall tyres in this race as Fraser begins his charge, tries to hunt down the NLR Development period of Mustache and Kilcree. Of course, the 5 second time penalty for Kilcree in terms of the pit stops there is going to hinder him somewhat, so he will drop down the order. He's still going to be comfortably ahead of Christie and obviously the drivers in behind him, but there's definitely less points now that NLR Development are going to be outscoring ET8 Academy on now. So Fraser closes up. 1.4 is the gap now, but through the Senres's, the grip of those soft tyres going to bring him in another 2 tenths of a second as the ERS is being drained by the WR driver as we come into the Cedar de Lago on lap 24 of 36. We are 2/3 into this race. NLR Development right now are currently leading the way. It's a 1-2 right now. Kilcree and Mustache up at the front. WR Fraser in P3 with RCR Lab in P4. ET8's Daniel in P5. And the IRT Academy driver of Bashi in P6. All these guys are now in a train with each other. And now this is big for these NLR development drivers, because right now Fraser has the grip. There's no denying it. Fraser has the grip on those soft tyres. How much do you fight WR Fraser once he tries to make overtakes here? Lab is falling out of DRS range, and that could be absolutely horrendous here for Daniel, and Daniel will need to get himself back within 1 second of Fraser if he tries to get the overtake done right now on Lab. Lab does not have DRS. And now Daniel knows the task. He needs to get himself ahead of Lab and try to get himself onto the back of that train in the top 3. Mustache is the net race leader with that 5 second for a kill creep. Fraser in the net P2. Lab right now on a net podium position. Daniel currently in P4. Christie picks up a 3 second time penalty in P7, but fortunately he has 6 seconds to Pangarino in behind, so he has another 3 seconds worth of a gap. As now DRS to begin lap number 26. Fraser closing right up to the back of Mustache there, full John Chow, but with the lack of ERS it is going to be difficult. But Mustache has used all his battery, Kilcree has used most of his, and now Daniel, he's not close enough to make a move. Daniel in towards turn number 1, maybe to see the Delago. Will Daniel now use his battery and go ahead and try to get his position? He needs to get himself ahead of Lab in this race, because Lab is just falling further and further behind. The time is running out. Lap 26 of 36. Gilqueen leads the race with a 5 second time penalty to his name though. Mustache currently in a net race lead, currently in P2, but he has Fraser on those soft tyres in P3. Hounding the back of that NLR development driver's car right there, the Aston Martin, under severe pressure. RCR Lab currently in P4 under pressure from ETA Academy driver Daniel in that Williams car. The IRT Academy driver of Bashi knows that right now it's not his time. Late game is the call for Bashi, but right now Fraser gonna look to try and get the move done on Mustache into the section. He's gonna move to the inside in towards turn number 1. This could be fantastic in this race if he does pull it off. They're side by side as they come through the center S's, and they just about keep it clean through the center S's. Now through Curve of the Soul. Fraser has nothing in his battery, neither does Mustache, and they will line the stern as Mustache actually tried to have a little look there on Fraser. Daniel again not going for the move on Lab. Lab does have the ERS battery though to combat Daniel in this race, and oh, Kilcree's out, safety car. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ladies and gentlemen, lap 27 of 36. A safety car has been deployed in this race. Everyone on the grid right now, I think, will be coming in for a fresh set of soft tyres. My god. Fraser gets himself into the lead of the race. I'm not sure. Was there any contact there? Let's have a look for wing damage, perhaps, on Fraser's car. Doesn't appear to be so. Neither on Mustache. I am absolutely dumbfounded with what has just happened there. NLR development. Kilcree has crashed out of this race. He has DNF. And now the leaders are into the pit lane. Advantage has once again gone back to ET8 as Daniel overtaken into the pit lane. Daniel, a little sneaky of a move to get himself up into the podium position. And ladies and gentlemen, Fraser on a fresh set of softs. Daniel on a fresh set of softs. Mustache, mediums. Lab, mediums. Bashi, mediums. Christie, softs. As everyone now into the pits. This is going to be an intriguing end to this race. We have mixed strategies, softs and mediums in play. Ladies and gentlemen, what we could be seeing right here is ETA Academy crowned champions here tonight. That is what we could be seeing. Remember, Mustache right now is outscoring Daniel by 5 points, which is fantastic. But that's just between those two. between Christy and Chris, who are both outscoring Mackie. I mean, just looking at the points table, just going to bring that up in the EML Discord, as we got Palang in the chat saying, what up, Mike? What is up indeed? I tell you what is up. A potential championship deciding race right now, as Kilcree has crashed out here on lap 27. He crashed out, safety car deployed at the end of this race. ET8 now thrown a lifeline in this race, and they could be crowned the EML Academy Tier Champions. ET8 right now, obviously P6 for Chrissy, P8 for Chris, the two ET8 drivers in the Mercedes, and of course Daniel in the Williams up in P3. Obviously being outscored by 5 points to Mustache, but Maki is being outscored by 2 points to well, he's been outscored by 4 points to Christy, as in fact he's now up in the P9, so he's been outscored by 3 points now to Christy. And of course there's the 11 points that the 12 points that ET8 Chris is just going to pick up naturally by being in P8. This is the benefit of having all three drivers see the checker flag, is that you get that extra point haul. Now, I do think as it currently stands, the championship will technically still be alive on points, but it will pretty much almost be a non-existent. It'll be a non-factor going into the next race. It'll essentially be ET8 have one hand on their trophy, and they'll just have the other hand just like hovering over it. They'll have a couple of the pinkies out there of a hand on the trophy, but right now ET8, I mean, if Daniel can get ahead of Mustache, ET8 win the Academy Tier Championship. Lap 29 of 36. Safety car in this lap. Let's go on board with the front drivers. Obviously, Mustache there getting a little bit too close to the back of Fraser. Let's get ourselves underway here for the restart, as Fraser is going to back up the pack even more. When does he go? And there we go. Fraser goes very late, and look at Daniel immediately on Mustache, looking around the outside of the Center SS side by side. NLR Development ET8 Academy team, and they are fighting to keep the championship alive here right now, as Daniel gets a move done through the Center SS, holds on through Kiritasol now into the Cita de Lago. Is Daniel up into P2, Mustache now down into P3, Shadow out of this race. We're seeing penalties begin to fly out there, as Kushi on the back of Bashi, as we are coming through now, lap 30 of 36. Look at Kushi down the inside of Bashi into turn number 8. The Mercedes, the ET8 Academy driver, around the outside, turn number 9. He'll have the inside now for turn number 10. A contact between the pair of them as they get a little bit out of shape. Contact, more contact between Christy and Bashi, and that has allowed both Pangrino and Chris through, and Mackie's through as well. And ladies and gentlemen, that has definitely shaken things up here, as Christy with that 3-second time penalty, and obviously Chris with a 3-second time penalty. Mackie will be outscoring the pair of them right now, but Chris looking to get onto the back of Pangrino in this race. Daniel trying to get away from Mustache. Lap 31 of 36. WR Fraser leads away, but for how much longer? DRS will be activated by the end of this race. That is absolutely for sure. It's all gone chaotic here on the safety car restart. Overtakes galore beginning to happen. Capitan falling down to the back of the field. IRT Academy, it was looking fantastic for them. Bashi leading the race for so long. Christy has lost it through the Cida de Lago. The ET8 Academy driver is around once again. It swings in roundabouts in this race, and I believe right now NLR Development are keeping the championship alive even with two drivers in this race. My God, I need to catch my breath. But that is not good for Mackie. He's outside that 1 second window already on Chris. If Chris has the pace on Mackie, he could build that gap. And if Chris has the DRS, will have the DRS on Pangrino up ahead as well. So DRS is enabled this lap. Ladies and gentlemen, will ETA Academy win the championship here tonight? Will NLR Development be able to hold on? Kilcree has left the session. Unfortunate for the NLR Development driver, who was doing so fantastic in this race, and of course was leading with Mustache, a 1-2 as it was just before the DNF occurred through Ferrajula. Fraser leading the way, Daniel in P2, Mustache in P3, Lab currently in P4, Pangrino in P5, Chris right now in P6, almost a 2 second gap to Mackie in P7. Remember, 3 second time penalty for Chris right now is the issue for him, and Chris is outside of DRS, so he's not going to have the DRS to help out. Yeah, Pangrino does have the DRS, so he will be able to stay here as Daniel overtakes Fraser for the race lead in this race. And of course, that could be an overtake that wins ET8 the championship here in Academy tier. Mustache now trying to do everything he can to fight it up. He's going to get boxed in though as we head into the Cida de Lago, as Daniel holds on to the race lead. Fraser holding on to P2, lap 33 of 36. Daniel now through Ferrajula leads away. Fraser in second place, Mustache in P3, Lab right there on the back of him in P4, Pangrino about a second off the back of him in P5 for IRT Academy. P6 currently going the way of Chris, who has another 1.2 seconds to find if he wants to keep a hold of P6, because Mackie right now is within that 3 second window. And right now Mackie will jump ahead of ETA Chris by the end of this race. Capitan getting the move done on Folly for P9. Well, of course, with the time penalty, Capitan will fall back behind Folly in this race. 1.9 is the gap. Nearly 2 seconds the gap between Mackie and Chris for P6 in this race. Another second needed for ET8 Chris to continue to outscore the NLR Development team here tonight. Support for Fraser in this race as well in the chat from Stretch. And Fraser right now is the man who's playing absolute spoilers in the championship battle right here. He's doing just about enough to hold on to DRS of Daniel up ahead for the race win. And that is not allowing Mustache the opportunity to overtake and get himself into P2. Remember, if ET8 outscore NLR Development by more than 16 points here, they will be declared the Academy tier champions. And right now, Daniel is outscoring Mustache by 10 points. Mackie obviously will bring that gap down as it currently stands, so it'll be a 9-point gain by ET8 right now. But then of course you're looking at Christie. As long as he keeps going, he's going to pick up 8 points, and with that, obviously, that will definitely be enough if Daniel remains in the race lead and Mustache remains in P3. Penultimate lap of the race, lap 35 of 36. Are we in for last lap chaos here? Are we going to get, is that Glock moment? That is what I'm asking now. As we climb up the hill on the exit of Junchow. Fantastic exit there for Mustache. The red light flashing on Fraser's car. Both have DRS. Into position goes the NLR development driver as he's going to look to try and do this around the outside in towards Center S's. Labs here as well. Almost free wide into turn 1. Look at Mustache around the outside of the Center S's as they come through now. Turn 3. Lab gets a little bit out of shape. And my God, Lab absolutely under pressure there as Mustache and Fraser side by side as they head down in towards the Cedar de Lago on the final lap of the race. This is for the championship. It looks like Mustache will get that move done on Fraser, but now Fraser will have one more chance to overtake Mustache, and of course that will be on the exit of Jun Chao with DRS to the line. Will we see a drag race finish in this race? That is the question, and I think we very well could be. Mackie, I think, is on the teetering edge of losing out on Chris in this race, and it looks like Mustache has managed to pull away from Fraser. Mustache now, as we climb up the hill one more time in this race. Daniel has a 6/10 gap. He will take the race victory here. But we're going to have to do some mathematics in just a moment to see if ET8 have done enough to become champions here. It's Daniel who takes the race win ahead of Mustache in second place, Fraser in P3, Lab in P4, Pangrino in P5, Bashi P6, as Chris drops down to P9, P10. Chris out of this race, leaves the session. What has gone on there? Chris absolutely my God, Chris losing out massively. I can't believe it. So yeah, I think Chris actually didn't cross the line. What a end to this race. Daniel gets the in-game driver of the day vote, and honestly I can't argue with Daniel being driver of the day. Remember, he did have a bit of a shaky start to the race. What could have been for ET8 Chris if he didn't disconnect earlier in the session? Remember, he was up in that top fight at the front earlier on before the disconnect happened. But it is Daniel who takes victory for ET8 Academy here. But Mustache in P2 might have just saved NLR Development's hopes in winning the championship here in EML Academy. A fantastic performance from Fraser for WOR as well, completing the podium. And of course, RCR Academy's Lab comes through in P4, and I think IRT Academy's Pangrino in P5. And yes, there it is. So we'll take you through the order one more time. It is, of course, Daniel with the victory, with Mustache in second place, Fraser in P3, fourth goes the way of Lab, Pangrino in P5. The top five drivers representing 5 different teams. Things you love to see. Bashi with IRT Academy in P6 with NLR, Maki in P7, RCR Capitan P8 with IRT's Folly in P9. Oshin for WR rounds out the top 10. And then of course we have F123 with the fastest lap in 11th place, Chris in P12. We will have to go back and see if Chris did cross the line. So give me just a moment as I quickly go back and check that, as we'll see momentarily if he does cross the line. We'll transfer you guys over to the big screen now as we do the maths here tonight, and we're going to see what the points haul is for all the teams as it currently stands, as I am currently just waiting for the end of the race on the playback right now. So we're going to see if Chris does cross the line. I believe he does. Yes, Chris does cross the line. He does have to check a flag. So Chris did cross the line. And because he lagged out the session, I think he got a bit of an issue in in the lobby itself when he rejoined. I only remember seeing Chris pick up a 3-second time penalty, just the one 3-second time penalty. Of course, he crossed the line just ahead of Bashi. They were drag racing to the line, so I believe he would have finished behind Maki regardless, just because Maki was 2 seconds off the back of Bashi as they crossed the line. So I believe Chris potentially would have finished P8. So let's have a look at the point system, and let's go ahead and figure this out here. So Daniel, with the race win, outscores Mustache by 5 points. Of course, that is guaranteed. Obviously, Christy, fastest lap, and P12. So that is 9 points right there. So that's 39 points for ETA as appearing right now. Chris did cross the line. He did get the checker flag just before Bashi crossed the line. So he did cross the line in P6. Depending on the time penalties, that he may have dropped back to P8 in this race. Let me just quickly again reconfirm that Chris did indeed cross the line ahead of. Yes, he did. He did cross the line around 7 times ahead of Bashi, and of course, because he disconnected from the session, they did glitch him out a little bit. I'm not entirely sure how many penalties he had. I believe he only had a 3-second time penalty, so Maki will jump ahead of him on the penalty. So that would have been 8th place for Chris, which would be 12 points. So we're doing maths by you guys. We're doing mathematics here. So that's 39 plus 12. So that's 41. 51 points gained for ET8. Now, NLR development picking up P2 and P7, which is, of course, 38 points gained for NLR development, which is, of course, 38. Take away 51, which was 13 points gained by ET8. So, ladies and gentlemen, that does mean that the championship does continue on to the next round, because ET8 Academy unfortunately were unable to gain enough points to retake to clinch the championship here tonight. But to my maths, they only need they have a gap of 149 points out of a possible 152 remaining. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is how things are looking there in the standings. We did some quick maths. We got it all sorted. We got there in the end. But what a fantastic race that was. Daniel taking victory for ET8 Academy. Mustache keeping things alive for NLR development in P2. Fraser with a fantastic podium for WOR in P3. Lab in P4 for RCR Academy, and Pangolino for IRT Academy, rounding out the top 5. 5 drivers representing 5 different teams inside the top 5. Things you absolutely love to see. And of course, the top 4 being separated in the end by just over a second, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible to see. And of course, we will be back next week for the next round of the championship, which of course we'll have a look at the calendar right now. Next week we do go to the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix for the Imola circuit, and of course round number 9 could be the championship decider. ET8 one hand on the trophy here after tonight's race. And of course, if you were looking for more action here tonight, then don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in around 40 minutes time for F1 and F2. I believe James Ed taking you for the action in F1. And of course, I believe Indigo going to be filling in F2 here tonight with... Indigo going to be filling in for F2 here tonight. James going to be taking you through F1 action. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you tune in at 8 p.m. Show love to both of those streams. And, of course, keep your eyes tuned for more EML action next week when we go racing at Imola. But until then, guys, I have been Michael Edwards, and I'll catch you next week for round number 9 at Imola. Until then, guys, goodbye.